Right, you ready?
I'm ready. If you're ready, you ready?
George?
Let's do it.
Adrian?
We're all ready.
Right, let's have it.
Okay.
50 and coping,
50 and coping.
with a question mark, is about obviously finding everyday coping mechanisms for people like ourselves, but it's also about the stories from people who have escaped death, found a way forward, but also without the drama of that, are still with us and still maintaining their lifestyle because they found out that what's best for them came from them and their own knowledge in the first place, or their search for knowledge. And Adrian, hello mate, is here today to talk about, well, there's lots of things.
Yeah.
So,
where do we begin?
well, I'll tell you where I'd like to begin,
Okay.
Adrian, is like, let's have a look about, we're talking about cancer predominantly.
Okay.
And we're talking about addiction. And we're talking about finding a way out of all of that.
Yeah.
And what interests me is the fact that your story is, and without being melodramatic, it's miraculous. And it's not only miraculous once, it's kind of miraculous twice because of the stages you've gone through. So where were you at the beginning? What were you doing? Who were you before this all started?
Okay. Right. Well, I think probably a good place to start from that respect would be I was married, working for my father, which I did do since school, which was arguably something I didn't quite really want to do.
Okay.
But there was a little bit of peer pressure. That was in the print trade.
Print trade.
But it was kind of not so much expected, but there was kind of this thought process that, well, you know, this is where we are. This is what I'm going to look to do for you, son, in later years. So this can all be yours one day. So there was that kind of underlined expectation, but not said in such a way. So anyhow, so I ended up doing a job which working for him and his partner, which I never got on with his partner, and he didn't like me and always saw me as a threat. There was always a challenge there.
Okay.
And I was put on the road for sales, which is something I absolutely detested. Right. Even though, ironically, I do it as part of my job description now, but in a slightly different manner.
Probably on your terms rather than...
Exactly, yet being myself, which is probably one of the biggest challenges of all for me back in those days.
Yeah.
So I was, I think it's fair to say at that point, I was quite an egotistical little sod. You know, families were quite wealthy, albeit my father was self-made. I started from absolutely nothing. I was born in a one-bed flat, rented flat in North London when I was... Yeah, as I say, and we lived there till I was about 5 or 6. But anyhow, long story short, he did work very well for himself and ended up with a big print group.
Right.
And so there was always this kind of, I was in a little bit in father's shadow. He's also a big guy, very good looking,
Right.
Model in his youth. And yeah,
So an annoying human being.
A very annoying guy, yeah, bless him. But don't get me wrong, he was a very warm and loving guy, but he had a very strong presence about him, you know, and he managed himself very well. So I was always kind of under his shadow. I think that's fair to say, and that had kind of a bit of an influence on my kind of way with regard, because I'm not dare I say it, a strong character.
Okay.
In that way, I'm not a person that will walk into a room and demand something and won't walk out of there unless I've got a yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Which is why I struggled on the sales side of things, because I walk into a room and I go, well, this is what we do and this is how we can do it for you. Are you interested? No. Oh, thanks for your time, and walk out the door. That's not how it works.
No. Never take the first no.
Yes. As they say, exactly. But so I think it's fair. That was kind of a bit of my struggle, and that was where probably the drink started to come into play as a crutch, which is quite a common thing.
So alcohol is the addiction that we're focusing on, right? Rather
yes,
than,
yeah.
Okay, so...
Yeah, no, drink was my poison.
So how do you... So did that start as nights out? Did that start as a lifestyle thing? Was that drinking every day?
Yeah, I mean, see, even from 16 I started drinking, but I was never a heavy drinker. It was... as I say, I mean, they do say that you're born with the addict mind, and it's also part of your lineage rather, and it's actually rife within my family. My uncle and auntie on my mum's side, they both passed. Well, in fact, he committed suicide, God bless him, and my auntie she drank herself to death. My nan was an alcoholic, and my uncle was an alcoholic.
Right.
So, the chances were that someone within our,
Yeah.
we're like someone along those lines was bound to fall this. In fact, my cousin, she's also an alcoholic, as is my nephew.
Right.
So it's rife. The lineage is full of it. But I, as I say, it was never. I was never a binge drinker. I weren't really one to go out and get hammered every Friday, Saturday night. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't me. But for me, it was more of a confidence thing.
Right.
Which I think is fair to say, and you do hear this in a lot of the rooms, is where, kind of the alcoholic mind or addictive mind comes into play. Because it's about that wiring and the fact that you overthink, you never think that you're good enough. All of these traits that they come underneath the addict umbrella, if you like. But so that was where I started to use a bit more, certainly around work in the early stages of work when I was on the road.
Yeah.
I started to maybe have a drink before I went in. I thought, well, hang on a minute, that's softened things slightly, and it's made me not so much bolshy, but Dutch courage.
Push you back.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, if for sales, you go in there and everyone will say no to you first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, when you're selling something, you do, and then you don't step backwards, you step forwards. And being an addict myself, I understand the fact that when your limits are in normality, you are just like, okay, that's it, right? Those barriers get put down. You have a couple of drinks, you have just a beer will lower your ability to listen to the no. And as a and I know a lot of salesmen. I used to sell fucking advertising myself at the beginning of my life, working life, and it's horrendous. But I can completely see just having that one drink lowers that inability to push yourself a little bit forward. And did your sales go up though because of it? Do you think?
Yes.
Right.
Initially.
So therefore, set yourself into a cycle that shows like this is a positive.
That's right. But then it's sort of, I think again this happens a lot, especially within, and I'm in advertising, especially in the advertising world. There's a lot of social. I mean, you can argue there's a lot within sales and marketing anyhow that there's quite a bit of a social element to it. But there's a few pubs in London near Covent Garden that are renowned for agencies always meet there on Fridays, and a lot of the sales guys go there because they know they're all going to be there,
and they can network.
And it's networking over a bottle of wines, and that's so I found I was doing that. Started off a couple of afternoons and whatnot, and then in the end I was doing that pretty much. It was an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go out and have a drink. It's all on me. It was that kind of, because I knew it's going to take all of that anxiety and stress away from me. So although I didn't acknowledge it, the problem had started.
Yep.
The wheels of emotion, because I was already using a crutch to get me through a situation.
Yep. And sadly, it's difficult when something works to start realising it's detrimental.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's a positive in one side, and that's it. I mean, I get that totally. So, when did you start to realise and start to see that it was taking you?
Well, it started to get to where I got home after being out for the afternoon, and I would have a bottle of wine. Say there's a bottle of wine on the side. What I would start to do is because my wife was starting to watch at this point. I'm moving on slightly here. This is this. So it's a slow escalation, if you like, gradual escalation from the age of about 21 up until probably about 27, 28. So I was in that zone, slowly increasing the volume, but still, dare I say, manageable.
Okay.
But where I really started to pick up on it was where I would get home. I'd already had a few, driving as well. Yeah. Didn't even enter my head. Pour a full glass of wine out, and I'm talking like a large. A glass of white wine. 125ml. I know it off my heart. Is that amount in a glass of wine? A glass that big, and you got that. That's a measure of wine. Well, I would fill that to the top and neck it. Yeah. And then pour myself out a glass of wine and then go back in the front room. Right. And that started to make. Hang on a minute. That's not right.
That deceiving behaviour.
Deceiving, the devil on the shoulder.
Because your wife's watching. And you walk back in with a glass, but you've already had one, and as well as everything else. Yeah. It's interesting that when you start, when you look back, hindsight's 2020, that's fine. But when you start actively looking for ways to cover up what you're doing, right? That's
Exactly.
not when you stop. That's when you realise you can get away with it.
Exactly, yeah.
That's when the rocks start tumbling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
And they do. They call it the gets, don't they? Because it just goes from one thing to another. But so that, you know, obviously that continued, and that started to kind of, you know, accelerate, if you like. Problems.
So sorry,
at home.
are you acknowledging that at the time and just ignoring it? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember one morning, and it sticks with me now, and I can see it rather quite clearly in my head now. I remember getting ready to go to work one morning, and I said to myself, if you don't stop drinking, you're going to have a problem. Unbeknown to me at that time, I was already neck deep. I was already in the madness. But and he did that. Didn't stop anything. I still carried on, still in that wheel of entertaining, getting people out, closing deals over a lunch and 2 bottles of wine and going home, and that was the norm. Probably again for 2 or 3 years, and then after a while, and when I think it's fair to say when it really hit home that there was a problem.
Yep.
Was when funds run low, and it wasn't so easy to access. And it was like, hang on, I need to get a drink, but there's no funds. And that's where some sneakiness started to come in. And I started to lie and you know, be deceitful and borrowing money that we didn't have.
Yep.
And even taking money out the children's money boxes.
Yep.
Thinking and saying to myself, that's fine, I'll take a £5, I'll put that back tomorrow. And then instead I'll go back and take another one. And that was when I was in the madness, but with the way that my mindset was just, it was just tunnel vision.
Yeah.
I was just on this road of destruction, and I wasn't going anywhere else. It didn't matter what. Well, I remember my wife saying to me once, she said, I'm not going to be married to an alcoholic. She said, you've got a drink problem, you need to sort this out, or I'll be off.
Right.
No, I'm fine, I've got it all under control. It's just, I'm not on a park bench somewhere. I'm not secretly drinking. Well, as I say, the yets are yet to come.
Yeah.
So that was slow progression. And as I say, every day, just gradually got worse and worse and worse until then, then the secret drinking did come up. She cut all the funds off. And I think it's fair to say that probably 10 years of my life just disappeared.
Yep.
But yeah, and as I said, things just continued to escalate. Stealing. And because I couldn't buy it, I would walk into a Tesco's, and it makes me just sitting here now and I'm almost shuddering. It's just the thought of it. I'd walk up, grab a couple of mini bottles, stick them in pockets and walk back out again.
Yeah.
And then until the point I got pulled in the shop.
Right.
And taken back out the back. But it didn't stop me. They warned me. I was fortunate.
Yeah.
They said, you're not allowed back in here for another year.
Right.
And in the end, it ended up being a few establishments.
So you didn't get nicked?
No.
Right.
I never got nicked. Not for drink. Not until
Yeah.
not until the day of the accident, which was after. So I ended up going. So obviously, so things escalated. Secret drinking. Get up in the middle of the night. Shakes. Waking up. Hot sweats. Cold sweats.
Yeah.
Trembling, and I would have bottles stashed. I'd have to go. Waking up at 3 a.m, going down, necking half a bottle of wine and going back to bed again. I look back and I think, wonder she bloody left me. Bless her. I've made my amends there.
Good.
And I'm still making them. But yeah, so as I say, so things gradually got worse. I ended up in rehab. I went to a place down in Marylebone.
Right. So was there detox? Was there a process, or was it just rehab?
Let's backtrack slightly. So I was introduced to AA.
Yeah.
Someone took me along to a couple of meetings. It was okay. I just sat there quietly as they, as they told you to do in the early days. Just listen, take it all in, listen out for the similarities, not the differences, all that stuff, which I did. And I ended up being introduced. They said get a sponsor. So I was introduced to a guy named Mark White, who has ended up he's like a brother to me now. But he doesn't like the terminology as sponsor.
Yep.
So he said, I'm not going to be your sponsor. He said, but I will guide you and I will work with you. Brilliant man. And he worked with me, kind of got me into rehab. And I spent, the first one was 2-3 weeks, I think. Didn't do a thing. It was, but to be fair, it was the wrong place. It was more CBT based.
Right. So how to cope?
Yeah.
Cognitive behavioural therapy.
Exactly.
So what prompted that? You just mentioned an accident. Was it the accident that prompted that contact?
No, the accident came later.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yeah, I should have probably mentioned that a bit later on. But the point I've mentioned that was that was the day that.
So what prompted you to seek that help at that point then?
My sponsor. But he said, you need to go into rehab. He said, it's, I was still with my wife at the time. She'd stuck by me that far. And that's when I remember going in and saying, right, this is it. This is the day that I changed my life and things start for the better. Mm-hmm. So, and I said, I was in there for 3 weeks, but it was all cognitive based. In fact, I think there was only 2 alcoholics in there. The rest were, bless them, all different things going on, gambling, all other, sorts of addictions.
Really good sorry to interject. Just to point out that for rehab to work, it's got to be the right rehab.
Yeah.
It's got to be the right thing for you. Also, CBT is amazing, but only if you're...
Absolutely.
If you are in a position to receive it.
Yeah.
And in full-blown alcoholism, you're not. You're not ready for that. What you're ready for is someone to stand in your way and go, right, rules, barriers, boundaries. Right,
yeah,
and put you where you need to be. But what's interesting is that you went to AA because that's the perceived channel, right?
Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic, I'm going to AA, right? Nothing wrong with that at all. But then also the guy who was your sponsor didn't want to be called a sponsor,
no.
So he was your mate. And he helped you. Doesn't matter what anyone's called, by the way.
Absolutely.
Right? If they step up and offer help, take it. Because as an addict, speaking from experience, if you don't take help or at least ask for help, then there can be no change.
100%.
So being with him's amazing.
Yeah,
so you've got that, and he's still your friend.
Very much so. Yeah, no, we're like, he's like a brother to me.
Point, right?
Yeah, there you go, 100%. So he's, so we did that. I come out of there, and within a week, I was back on it.
Okay.
And that just continued, went from bad to worse, and then it became completely unmanageable.
Right.
And I was stealing, drink. Get to the point where if I couldn't get hold of any alcohol, I was drinking methylated spirits.
Yeah.
That's where we got. That was probably the low point. When I remember walking the dog. Drunk half a bottle of that before I went out with my daughter to walk the dog, and I was being sick as we was walking the dog. I mean, God bless her, she was only about 5 at the time.
Right.
As I say, you look back, don't you? I mean, they said don't have any regrets, but my God, I think we're.
There's potential there.
There's potential there. Exactly.
I am of the mind. I regret a lot of my behaviour.
Yeah.
Right from back then, and that's what keeps me straight. Right, I know.
I agree.
I'm
with you there.
That so you have flashbacks, right, and where you're not cognizant in that moment, but the flashback is, oh, what the fuck did I do that? How did I do that? And that keeps me honest now. I live in a place of truth, so everything, as I always like to say, because my memory's so bad, if I tell you something last Thursday, it doesn't matter what I said, because when you pick me up on it, it will be the truth.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any lies. It's when you're in that addiction, and it's very interesting you said that about doing something as everyday as walking your dog with your daughter, but having to bang half a bottle of methylated spirits, which incidentally can kill you.
Absolutely.
Because it's totally poisonous, but you've got to do that just to function.
Yeah.
So it's not... And this is important. It's not about getting drunk. It's not about having a good time. This is the depths
trying to feel normal
and trying to feel normal enough to take the dog for a walk with your daughter.
Yeah,
and I think that's a really good. I'm really glad you shared that, because it's that normality you're aiming for and nothing more.
And nothing. And it's you're grasping at straws. You know, it's not trying to find a fix to get high. It's just trying to get something in your system to allow you to function. Yeah. I know I'm repeating what you said there pretty much, but
that's it.
But that's so. As I say, so that went from bad to worse, and then One day, and I used to drink, just take the kids to school religiously every day, morning. They used to go to school in the same school as yours kids, didn't they, Lee?
Yeah.
And I was half cut most of the time I saw you.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, we were very good at hiding it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, did drop-offs, used to take them to football. And in one evening, one training session, and we should go past Haileybury School to get to their football. And I remember driving past it one night, half intoxicated, and looking at a tree thinking, but if ever I'm going to do anything, that will be the one that I'll do it. Right. If I'm gonna end all of this madness, and that's what I'll do.
That tree.
Exactly.
Wow.
And basically,
You're cognizant for that. That's almost.
Oh, it's premeditated.
That's making a decision.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I did. So, with that in mind, I think probably second or third outing, dropped the kids off, and just something in me switched. I just said, "Right, go and do your thing." I said to one of the other parents, "Just keep your eye. Just got to pop out for half an hour." Crazy. I mean, even now it makes me feel quite sick. But dropped them off. I had half a bottle. Now at this point, God only knows why I was sober on this day, but I was, and I had half a bottle of vodka, a mini bottle, not like half a litre bottle that's been drunken. It was just a new bottle of half volume, whatever. And I got to this point where I was probably, I don't know, 200 yards from the tree. I pulled over, I wrote my note,
right,
and I said, apologies, I can't go on, I don't want to be here anymore. And the biggest reason for that it wasn't so much pour me another drink scenario, as they say in the rooms. It was more to do with, I'm just a waste of bloody space. These kids don't need to be growing up with this, and I don't know how to get out of it. There's no other way out of it. I don't know. I've been AA, I've done rehab, nothing's working. Everything's falling apart. So I don't want to be here anymore. So I necked the bottle, and I took my seatbelt off, and I drove. And it's funny enough, there's a little bit of a bend, so I drove straight at it. Just complete tunnel vision, went over the curb as I had to do. I was probably doing about 50. Yeah. And then I've gone down the slope, because it's probably set 20, 30 yards back from, it's verging into the woodland. Yeah. If you know the back of Haileybury School.
I do.
And that's all I remember. Right. I don't remember anything else. Yeah. Until the next thing I remember was hearing someone say DOA. Right. And it so happened to be someone we know, funny enough. I can't remember his name now, bless him, but it was someone from Duncombe who was a farmer. Right. And he was, he was not necessarily first on the scene, but it was the first voice that I heard say DOA. Right. And I can remember them cutting my clothes off, talking to me. I said, well, can you cover me over, please? Protect my modesty was the words I used for some reason. But there you go. I remember that.
Important at that point, yeah.
But unbeknown, I didn't know what I'd done, because what had happened was I'd missed the tree. Right. I'd gone round somehow or other, some force of nature, in whatever respect it was, took me away from that tree. Then the car flipped, hit the curb, coming back out, flipped into the road, threw me through the window, and I was lying in the road just up from where the car was. And that's why whatever state I looked like when I was lying there, because I've got scars you can probably see on my forehead there. That's where I went through the window. Wow. And I broke my neck in 2 places, broke one of the vertebrae in my back as well. Right. And yeah, obviously ended up.
And they thought you were dead?
They thought I was dead, but
you were
still here.
Yeah.
yeah, miraculously enough.
Yes, indeed.
I think I'm going to say something a bit odd, but this whole thing about it's not your time.
100%.
I am starting to. I don't know where this belief goes, right? But I explained before the podcast. I've been talking to different people with different beliefs, and all of them have been through something death related, and all of them have said, and it wasn't my time, obviously. And I'm starting to, I don't know if it's belief, but that resonates with me. And all I was thinking was, as I missed the tree, I went round, how the hell I turned round and the car flipped, how does that work? Well, it wasn't your time, so has somebody guided that? Who knows?
No, exactly.
But the important point is that you'd made the resignation. You've done it. I'm going to. I can't do this anymore.
Oh, it was with intent. It wasn't a cry for help.
No.
It wasn't. So it wasn't. Not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not diluting the fact that people take a handload of pills and go and get in the bath. It wasn't a cry for help.
No, that
it
was.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, and I really do not want to be here anymore. And that. I survived, obviously, and I spent about 3 weeks in hospital. And then just before I was released, they had to see a psychologist who had come and assess me before they'd release me. And they asked me about 5 questions.
Yeah.
You feel all right? Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Do you still feel suicidal? Well, I don't. I'm still high on morphine.
Yeah.
Again, something they didn't check my records. They just pumped me full of that stuff. So I was, I can't want to come out of there.
Yeah.
And as I say, I was at 20 minutes. I was with her, and they said, "Oh, you're fine. Go home." And that was the end of that. So there was no like, "Well, hang on a minute. Let's assess what's gone on here."
So they found the note.
They found the note.
Right.
Yeah.
They probably realised that you'd had that drink beforehand.
Well, the plot thickens. So they breathalyzed me at the scene.
Yeah.
How they did that, I don't know. But I was in and out of consciousness apparently. But they did breathalyze me at the scene.
Right.
And that was negative.
Okay.
Because I just done half a bottle of the drink.
Yeah.
But when they did the bloods, it came back as positive. It was 180 over something, whatever it is. I can't remember how they do it now. But and yeah, cut long story short, I got banned for 3 years.
Right.
For driving. Which was probably a bit of a blessing because that got me humble, but
yeah,
on to that.
I was just about to poo-poo that, going, well, that's fucking useful, isn't it? You just told the world that you want to die and now you ban me from driving, so thanks for that. But actually, that ban from driving limits your ability to fuck up. It also makes you go, oh, wow, look what I've done.
Yeah.
Which, every day. Yeah.
Every day. But also,
day.
though, look at the reality of how that could be a knock-on effect. I fucked up again. And I'm sorry to say this, but there's going to be at some point, and correct me if I'm wrong, where you're going to go, fucking hell, I can't even kill myself.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah. So there was a bit of that. Again, that poor me scenario.
Yeah, but poor me's fucking right? Because you're genuinely, I'm done. I've written this note and I'm going. And then you don't go, then you get nicked. Right? And then you've got to deal with all of that. But not only do you have to come out of that, the psychologist obviously doesn't give a shit. I've ticked a box, see you later. And all of these things are horrendous, but what's amazing, right, and this is before we even get on to the next story, what's amazing is you're sat here in front of me as a cognizant human being who has been through this horrible, tragedy in your own mind and your own life, but now you're sat here in front of me telling that story, which is fucking awesome, quite frankly, right? And we haven't even got to the next bit, which is starting to blow my mind. So
I think we've got a full season 6 coming up.
So I wanna look at, right, you come out of hospital and you're on morphine. Did they give you Oromorph, or was it little
Oromorph?
Yeah,
bottles of it.
Disgusting piss.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But also they just go, well, yeah, have all that. That's great.
Yeah.
When I smashed my leg in a motorcycle accident, it was completely different. They sent me home with these morphine tablets, which I was totally addicted to, right? And they're not supposed to send you out of hospital with those. They were supposed to give you Oromorph, but they said to me, well, look, you've been on them so long, you have that.
Oh, wow.
And also we'll give you Oromorph. And I actually remember saying, I'm a drug addict, right? Because I at the time, I was completely loopy on injecting cocaine and also heroin here and there. And they sent me out there with all of these drugs. So I was blissfully smashed out of my nuts for months, until somebody pointed out that I should probably stop now because I could walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's a bit odd, but how did you get out of that? How did you, once you got out into hospital, so you managed to get yourself off the morphine, presumably?
Well, to be fair, and it's a bit of a funny one, because obviously I'm still in the heights of addiction.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm in recovery now and they've had to give me this medicine, so-called medicine, to ease the pain, etc. I was still right in the heights of it, but to be completely honest, the rest coming out of there is all a little bit vague. I do remember going home at this point. Our marriage, unbeknown to me, but our marriage was over. Yeah. And understandably so. I mean, I was absolutely full of resentment at the time. Okay. You know, how dare you? You know, 20 odd years we've been together, and you know, unbeknown to me that I've been in the wilderness for 10 years. Yeah. You know, and she's put up with all of that. But anyhow, I'll digress as we go on later.
That's totally fine.
But yes, as I say, so there's a lot of grey area around that. But I do remember that at that point I decided I do want to get well. And as you know too well, it's not until you decide that you want to be well, you can actually become well. No, you know, AA won't even entertain you if you say that I'm not willing to quit the drink. So point being, I wanted to get better, and that's when Mark got back involved again and got me into a different rehab centre based in Watford. And that was more, it was AA led, but it had more of a spiritual aspect to it. Okay. Now, spiritual side is probably one of the most important parts of all of this, from my perspective anyhow, is because I've always had spiritual tendencies. I've just never really acted upon them. Every time I kind of get involved, I mean, this is still a spiritual thing to kind of talk about, because it's fishing. And it wasn't so much as a kid, I weren't going fishing to catch. It was to be in that environment, to get onto the lake at 3 a.m, watch the mist come up on the water, hear the birds start to sing, watch the tranquility on, as I say, on the water. I was in the zone. And I would sit there for 7-8 hours, sometimes not catching, and I would be in my absolute element. So the point is, like, being within nature, those, you know, which is a spiritual aspect of life, is the stuff that I should have kind of listened to myself and think that's where you need to be. That's the stuff that keeps you well. So, so as I say, I've always had that tendency within, but I never really took any notice of it. Or if I did, I would always wander back into old behaviour. So, hence why I had become more and more unwell. But this place had a lot of spiritual focus, if you like, and introduced you to Buddhism. They brought a Buddhist teacher in, did a lot of mindfulness and meditation, and that really resonated with me. The meditation especially, that really turned something on, something clicked, and I was all over it. And I was in there, the meditation room. I was getting up early every morning before breakfast, doing a meditation before I went in the rooms of everyone else to do another meditation, and then start the day of recovery. Okay. And yes, as I say, so that's where things started to work. That's why I started to see life from a different perspective. Okay. And I had a purpose. I thought, I'm embracing the spiritual side of things. What the hell, Adrian, have you not? The light has just turned on, you know, light bulb moment. This is what works. Being in this environment, you know, being around, you know, in a spiritual environment is what makes you feel happy. Yeah.
There's 3 things that are important, right? And this is not the how to do it. No. Right? But, you've had a breaking point. Yeah. Right? Which a lot of people talk about in addiction. And then after the breaking point, you've had recovery time, but then you've had a realization that you want to change. Yeah. Then you've gone to a rehab that actually speaks your language.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And those 3 things, and I would say this is pretty much for everyone, you have to find that chain of events that brings you back to, I want to change.
Yeah, 100%.
And that ability, right, and also it's amazing to hear you say, right, you got up early to do a meditation before the group meditation. Now some people think, all right, yeah, so what, you bought into it? No, what you're doing is you're doing a meditation to center yourself before you go and join a group, because you know that you're not quite comfortable with that, but you are comfortable with meditation. So then you can then cope with a group meditation and move on with your recovery. And I think what's inspiring is to hear you say, right, I've had enough, I'm going to get help, I've had the right help. And I think if you're going to take anything from this and you are in addiction and you're struggling, find the right help.
Absolutely.
And don't beat yourself up for not... So you went to rehab once and you followed it through and you did everything right and it didn't work.
No.
Because it wasn't...
It didn't resonate with me. Exactly.
Okay. So how does it look when you come out of that rehab? How does your life look?
Well, as I say, that was when the divorce papers were filed.
Right.
And she told me when I was in rehab that's it. She said, I've moved on. And it was, even though I had an understanding things weren't good,
yeah,
I never thought that she would actually go through with that.
Okay.
But she did. And as I say, I don't, I've got no resentment against her at all for all of that now.
Yeah.
But I was in bits, as, bro, what are you doing? But I don't know. And they said to me, even the counsellors or whatever you want to call them, within a centre said to me, it's over.
Yeah.
It's without 100%. You've got to come to terms with that before you leave here. So I was in for 3 months.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And which was probably a bit too long because I think after the second month, it's like a loop.
Yeah.
They go through the same process again. So I ended up doing a lot of it again. But everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So obviously the divorce. So I dealt with that. Thought there was a little inkling of me to say, well, look, once I get out and I've turned my life around, he says, magically, then maybe she'll come around.
Right.
But yeah, I think when she did, she actually brought the children along one day to see me, and it was clear then. The vibe was gone. There was nothing. It was complete. So I knew. So anyhow, so that's where kind of the real build, the kind of the rebuilding began, if you like. I knew within, right, I've got to start afresh here.
Yeah.
Business had gone. That had been wound into the ground.
Yeah.
House was going. That had to be sold, and she was moving on. So I had to pretty much start again. And we had a lovely home. We had a nice 4-bed detached house over in Gough Soak. All the nice cars. It didn't mean a thing.
No.
And then so I had to start again. And I think that was probably one of the key parts of my recovery was getting humble.
Yeah.
And obviously honesty is a massive part, but it's that humility. It's going back. I kind of skipped a part. As I said, due to the accident, I got arrested and lost my life. I had to go to court while I was in the rehab.
Right.
And that's where they gave me the 3 year ban.
Yeah.
So obviously coming out of there, no house, I had to move back in with mum and dad, which was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Because of going back to the original, when we first started the conversation, I said about being within dad's shadow.
Yeah.
And not so much expectation, but he could see the disappointment.
Judgment.
Yeah. Even though he never, what, God bless him, he never once said to me, I'm disappointed in you, or what have you, never once. But just to think what was going through his head.
Do you know what? A lot of that may well have been transference from you. Because you were putting the feelings that you thought he was feeling onto him. He might have just been present for you, who knows. But the fact of the matter is they did say you can come back.
Yeah. And
you can get well and you can move on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of huge.
And also my brother was in the height of it as well. He was an addict. Unfortunately, we lost him through it.
Sorry.
So bless my dad. He had a lot to think about. So I had to move back in there. But I didn't. That almost gave me a drive, as if to say, right, I've got to get on. I can't be in this environment. I need to get out. So I went to the council, begged on basically both knees to help me. And I dealt with a lovely lady there, bless her, who really, kind of did a bit of due diligence and whatnot for me, and ended up getting me into like a hostel.
Right.
I'll say it's a hostel. These places are over near the council houses in Chesham.
Right.
And it's basically a room. It's like almost like a studio flat, but probably as big as this area here. So I don't know, sort of 15 foot by 15 foot. But in there you've got a little single bed in the corner and a small kitchen area to one side and a little toilet outside. And then they've got a room for laundry that you go and you get a key card. And there was all sorts, God bless them, I know who am I to judge. But, there was all sorts of us in there. And I remember there was an armed, they come in one night, the the guys with the vests on, machine guns. So something was going. So it was a real drop down from. Trying to paint a picture here from the 4-bedroom detached house in with the white picket fence and the happy smiley family to living in a hostel. But honestly, hand on heart, I completely embraced it, and I was grateful because I knew there was other people on the streets, which is something I'm a big advocate now and do a lot of work. I have done, not so much lately. I will get back into it. It's quite easy, I could have been quite easily been homeless if it wasn't for my, the blessing of my parents. So I stayed there. I was in there for probably about a year, rebuilding, starting to rebuild, going for interviews. I've got a job, and sales job.
Right. Obviously, because it went so well before.
Exactly. What a great idea. But there was someone, funny enough, it was someone from the rooms, friend of a friend that was in AA. He'd been sober for about 15 years. It gave me the opportunity.
Yeah.
So it never worked out. It wasn't for me or for him really, because as I say, this wasn't my thing. But it got me back into that environment. It got me back into what considered to be a normal way of life.
Yep.
I was getting the bus everywhere because I didn't have a license. So there was, first of all, that was difficult. It's like I got represent, but you get like anything else.
Get used to it, and it is amazing what you can get used to.
And it's really true. It is really amazing what you get used to. And you know what? Not so much enjoyment's probably too strong a phrase, but there was contentment there to think, right, you've come from that. Well, you went down there, and now you're back here again.
Yeah,
you're on the way, mate.
Yeah.
You keep doing what you're doing. And they say, don't they? You get sober, the magic will happen. Yeah. And it did. It slowly started to come around.
Also, that magic comes from the fact that you've seen the highs because you've had a nice life, and you fucked that up.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And then you go to the bottom of it, where you're cap in hand to your parents, so there's shame. And then you pushed hard, and you got a place of your own again, and your own door. And all right, SO19 like to come at night and take somebody out, but that's fair enough. But what you did do, you didn't push against it, you embraced it.
Yeah.
And that is fully what shows the fact that you were totally involved in your sobriety. I don't care how this looks. I've got my own front door. I can do this. Yeah, I'm going to get on the bus, and I've got to spend an extra hour travelling every day because who knows when they're going to turn up. But you were present for it, and you were even smiling when you told me about that, and I love that. Do you know what I mean? You're not going, well, and then I had to live in a shithole. You were like, then I got this place, and I took it, and I hugged that, and I wanted that because that's part of your recovery, and that recovery is beautiful.
It's a real step away from the poor me thing, isn't it? You're embracing what you've got rather than what you have.
It's gratitude.
Yeah.
I mean, gratitude, honesty are probably two of the biggest things that help with, apart from obviously the spiritual way, but as kind of a dynamic, are two things that help keep me well. Yeah. And they say a lot, don't they? Go honest, stay humble. And be grateful.
Do you know the humble thing? That's become a bit of a buzzword, but it's really real.
It's poignant. It's so powerful.
Because being humble isn't lowly me, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, right, I've hit rock bottom, and because I'm humble, I understand how to come back. If I'm arrogant, I deserve. No, you don't deserve anything. You've learnt nothing. If you're humble, you're like, I can work for this. And then I can put this back together. Exactly. And then before you know it, you are stood on top of the world because you're not dead. You're not drinking. You're not destroying your life and other people's. I run a group that deals with the families of addicts to try and help them see what the reality of an addict's behaviour. And they go, but I shout at him and I can't get through. And it's like, that's because he's not listening, mate. The addict's in the room. He hasn't hit that place. No. You've gone through the whole gamut of it all. Let me ask you this one question. Since you got clean then and sober, have you drunk since?
No.
Because you've done the whole circle, you've broken all your cycles, right? So all addiction is cycles in my mind, right? And you've done that. You've shown yourself that what happens when you go back.
Exactly.
You know where that leads, right? Also, it's not luck that you're not dead. Do you know what I mean?
I strongly believe that now.
With
what I've learned along the way.
I have a different spirituality to you, and all of that. But I do see the fact that, and it is odd how this has come up for me 5-6 times this week, and now we're sitting here talking about the fact that I missed the tree, right? I've been looking at this tree for years or months, and I know where it's going. And then I went to get it and I missed. And then you sideways, and it ended pretty badly. And yes, you had your license taken away, but if you hadn't have had your license taken away, cause and effect. I drunk drove into a tree, missed, got away with it. Well, idiots, right? That shrugging of the importance of that. You didn't get to do that because you had to get on a bus.
Yeah.
And I'm not demeaning buses, but it's really difficult to run your life on a bus.
Yeah.
Because you're at somebody else's beck and call where you've been.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially if you've got to travel distance because you've got to stop at certain bus stops to get onto another bus, and you've got to get the time. Yeah. But you know, as I say, I embraced it. I really did. I mean, going back to the humble thing.
Yeah.
And the gratitude is. Have you seen the film? What's the film? Is it called A Street Cat Named Bob?
Yeah.
Brilliant film.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I find it brilliant because I resonated with a lot of what was in that film. And there's one scene in there where he gets a room.
Yeah.
And the first thing he does is he goes to the kitchen sink and turns the tap on, and he's got hot running water. And that for him, he started to cry because, I mean, this is the thing. We live in a world where we have everything like turning on a tap. Yeah. We take everything for granted. We complain about everything. Oh, nothing's good enough. When you're stripped raw, and I was at rehab centre, they stripped me bare. They took me back to like a child, and helped me rebuild myself back up again. And it's being in those environments, going back is what made me.
Yeah,
that's what helped get me on the path of sobriety. Because, as you rightly said, you know, if I had come out with the attitude, or rather, if I had been, dare I say, fortunate enough to have not lost my licence, it could have been a completely different story.
It's weird. The whole picture is.
Yeah.
That's why you've moved forward.
It's almost like written.
Yeah. And a film script as well. And you see that in a film script, right? So he's hit rock bottom. You missed the tree. Well, who's going to write that? Well, no, you're going to hit the tree and he's going to come out of the windscreen. But he lives. And your story is so poignant simply because it's bloody real. And truth. And I've said this 100 times. You hear truth, right? It resonates with you. And people on the internet, where they'll be watching this, will hear your truth and see it for what it is, right? And that's why it's powerful. And what I love about your story is the fact that you're not here to apologise, right? You're not here to do it, but you've taken on board all of the shit you caused, right? You've got no resentment towards your ex-wife.
No, not now.
Because you did it at the time.
How dare you?
But because you know the shit you caused.
100%, yeah.
And you've owned it.
Yeah.
And all of that is huge. Right, so here's the trouble we've got. Right, we're already on 40 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
There is a whole nother side that we have to talk about, which we're not going to get to. So let's stay on the sobriety thing, okay?
Yeah.
Are you willing to come back?
Absolutely,
okay,
yeah.
right.
I'd love to, yeah.
Because I tell you,
if you have me, of course.
Well, of course I will, yeah. And 2 or 3 times, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, fine by me. Yeah.
So can we quickly, right?
Like a counselling session.
So you haven't drunk since.
No.
You've kept on a path, but very quickly, can we talk about? And I don't want to go into details, but I just want to cursory. You ended up in another bad position in life. Can we just quickly explain how that came about?
Yeah, okay. So basically, prior to the madness, I was diagnosed with skin cancer.
Okay.
But they got it early. I ended up going for scans after they got a few moles on the skin, cut them away. One of them was over a few millimetres long, so that means it could have got into the bloodstream. If it gets in the bloodstream, it metastasizes. And at that time, back then, I'm going back 20 plus years now, you're screwed because there was no treatment for metastasized skin cancer. Anyway, as you say, we'll go through this quite quickly. It come back negative. So although it did have an impact on me, although subliminal, I didn't really notice it at the time, but it did have a detrimental effect on me. But as I got the all clear.
Okay.
And then, as I say, through the madness, got back in recovery. I've met a new partner. Again, we'll elaborate further next session. Yeah. But then one day, I was with my wife now, and I was shoveling snow in the driveway. Yeah. And I just couldn't breathe. A couple of shovels, and it was as if I'd run 100 yards. Right. And I thought, this isn't right, mate. I must picking up a cold or chest infection. And I was really tight in the chest. Anyhow, that progressed. That got worse and worse and worse. I ended up going to A&E, and I collapsed in A&E, and I got taken. And basically, only 10% of one lung was working because it was full of fluid.
Right.
And they ran the run tests. I'd been prodded and poked all over the place. I had 3 consultants around me, and they kept looking at the screen and kept looking at my notes, and I could see they knew something was going on. And anyhow, after they'd run the tests, they said, "Look, we think your cancer's back, but we believe that you've got a tumour in your lung, and it's irritating the tissue of the lung, causing your body to react, and it's creating fluid to try and deal with it, which is filling your lungs." So basically, I was drowning
in your own.
and that's where I was basically diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma. So, which is
stage 4 being.
Yes, terminal. But there was I was advised at that time, and that was what I was focusing on, was that it's treatable.
Yeah.
And if I respond well to treatment, you could have 10 years.
Okay.
And my head was at, right, well, 10 years is a long time. Who knows what they're going to bring out within that 10-year window?
Yeah.
They'll either bring out another treatment that's going to give me another 10 years, or they'll have a cure by then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because that's how.
Because that's the way I perceived it anyway.
Right. So, what I'm trying to get at, and I didn't want to run over that story, and we will go back to the beginning. I want you to see what life's really like. So, not only have you gone through the most horrendous battle with alcohol, and alcohol. Let me tell you this as well. If you stone cold detox from heroin, right, it won't kill you. If you stone cold detox from alcohol, you will die. Okay.
Absolutely.
So when the next time you look at a drug addict, right, and you discard an alcoholic because it's just alcohol, think about the realities of that. So this gentleman to my left has gone through everything he's had to go through to get well from alcohol addiction, just to be told that he's got stage 4 cancer. So look at that. Life is horrendous. But look, let me point something out. He is sat on my left, and he is disgustingly healthy, and it's amazing to see. So in the second part of this, we're going to go from him being well to him having cancer and everything after that. We'll see you next time.